And go. Hello and welcome to the Humanistic Service Provision Debate for Applied Behavior Analysis. Before we begin our debate, the group members will introduce ourselves. Next slide. Hi everyone, my name is Meg Blodgett. I live in Philadelphia and I'm in my 5th semester of school at Ball State University. I am pursuing a career as a BCBA and I'm currently a full-time grad student. My role in the debate is the introducer.
Hi, my name is Brittany Charlot. I am in my 4th semester at Ball State. I am a registered behavior technician and I am working towards becoming a BCBA. I am also located in Texas and my role in this debate will be the introducer.
Hi everyone, my name is Genesis Medina and I live in Miami, Florida. I am currently in my 3rd semester. I am pursuing a BCBA and I currently work as a registered behavior technician. My role in this debate is the illustrator.
Hi, my name is Antara Burns and I'm living in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm currently working as an RBT. This is my 4th semester at Ball State, and in this debate I will be presenting the research that was reviewed to discuss the topics.
Hi, my name is Meredith Callahan. I am from North Carolina, working as a registered behavior technician, pursuing to become a BCBA, and I'm in my 3rd semester at Ball State. My role in this debate is fielder.
So our group will be debating the humanistic service provision, specifically the ethics behind gift giving, social media presence, and multiple relationships. According to Bailey and Birch, behavior analysts have been following a code of ethics since 1988, when the Florida Association for Behavior Analysis, FABA, adopted the FABA Code of Ethics. Since then, the Code of Ethics has been constantly updating to accommodate the world that we live in. Behavior analysts have been using the Professional and Ethical Compliance Code for behavior analysts since 2014. Starting next year in 2022, we will be following the Ethics Code for behavior analysts. Let's take a look at some of the changes that the 2022 ethics codes will have. Next slide. The figure on the screen shows the change in codes as we transition from the 2014 Professional and Ethical Compliance Code for behavior analysts to the Ethical Codes for behavior analysts effective January 2022. These changes will be addressed before each debate topic. Debate topics include: how does giving and receiving gifts affect the professional relationships and responsibility to the client? Should friending on social media be allowed? And should cultural competence be an ongoing process or a step-by-step or system set in place to address various aspects of diversity? To begin, we will be discussing the pros and cons of giving and receiving gifts from clients. Next slide.
Working closely with clients and their families typically means spending hours to days with them. When clients or families attempt to give gifts, it usually comes from a place of gratitude and appreciation. It is well known that this is against most ethical codes, that gifts should not be accepted in order to maintain a professional relationship. However, should we discuss the possibility that denying the gesture of a client or family could negatively impact the client or provider relationship? Whether or not gift giving should be accepted and where to draw the line when considering our ethical obligation as behavior analysts is commonly discussed. In the current 2004 version of the Behavior Analyst Professional and Ethical Compliance Code, gift giving is addressed under multiple relationships and conflict of interest. As this is the only time gift giving and receiving are mentioned, it presents as an act that would constitute multiple relationships, which the entire code is centered around avoiding. However, this conversation has evolved to address how this gift giving and receiving affects the therapeutic relationship differently. Should declining gifts negatively impact, or could declining gifts negatively impact therapeutic relationships, or is it even worth the risk of possibly blurring the boundaries of the professional relationship? Let's take a look at both slides. Next slide.
In this slide, I will be discussing the negative effects of declining a gift from a client. Declining a gift can negatively impact the client and provider relationship. Witz et al. Conducted a study in 2018, which surveyed 60 behavior analysts regarding gift giving. According to this study, the results showed that 57 out of 60 of these behavioral analysts engaged in some form of accepting gifts. Out of these 57 individuals, 77% of the behavior analysts claim to have accepted these gifts to avoid harming their therapeutic relationship. In some of these cases, cultural differences led to the BCBA's decision on accepting a gift. According to Hoop et al., 2008, accepting gifts from an individual whose culture highly values this exchange is less detrimental than declining the gift. Some culturally diverse individuals may feel greatly offended from this type of rejection, and this may negatively affect the therapeutic services. Witz et al. Of 2018 suggested that rather than prohibiting behavior analysts from receiving gifts, it would be more beneficial to provide scenario-based trainings that teach behavior analysts culturally appropriate and inappropriate situations for accepting gifts. This suggestion would clear many uncertainties related to gift giving in the field of ABA.
Does anyone have personal experiences related to this topic? If so, what happened? Did you resolve it? Did you have to use your cultural awareness skills?
So actually, I did have a situation where I had a situation like this. And last year, as a special education teacher, I would normally get gifts for holidays or during Teacher Appreciation Week. If I had turned down a gift from a parent and their child, it would have negatively impacted our relationship and made it difficult down the road to still foster the good feelings. I also worked in a Title I school, so most of my families did not have a lot of money. So the fact that they did spend some of their money on a gift for me was a big deal, and it was not something that I could decline. They were normally under the amount of $20. So I didn't have any ethical, I didn't feel like it was not able for me to not take it. So I think that in those situations, it was okay for me. And that was one reason why it actually did help foster a better relationship with the family and myself.
Okay, in this slide, this actually shows a study that was conducted by Witz et al. In 2018. Here is where you can view the questions that the survey asked and how they were answered. As you can see from the image, most individuals claimed they've experienced situations where they felt as though cultural reasons, it would be offensive to refuse a gift, and that would also change their therapeutic relationship if they had declined the gift.
In this slide, I'm discussing gift giving and how gift giving and receiving can create blurred boundaries between the client and the behavior analysis. Blurred boundaries can lead to a slippery slope. Slippery slope is when someone engages in a behavior that quickly end up in a negative or harmful outcome. If we give or receive gifts from our clients, this can lead to multiple relationships or other harmful outcomes. Boundaries should be clear and established at the beginning of the relationship. Actively refraining from this kind of behavior can decrease the incidence of a slippery slope and help clients and the providers from running into harmful or negative consequences that could possibly come from gift giving. Gift giving can also lead clients or caregivers of the clients to expect more from the provider, which in turn can lead to multiple relationships. If someone gives even a small gift, this could lead to more gifts, or they may expect more from you. For example, they might want you to stay longer for services, or may want you to babysit. And this could put the behavior analysis in a position where they feel obligated to do so because the family has expected more from them. This goes back to the slippery slope, so it would be in the best interest of the client and the provider to refrain from gift giving. In ABA therapy, we are working very close with families, and we work with them for a long time. That creates opportunity for multiple relationships to occur. So as behavior analysis, we need to always protect ourselves and the client from forming these kind of relationships. According to the BACB Code 1.06 Section C, behavior analysis recognize and inform clients and supervisors about the potential harmful effects of multiple relationships. Multiple relations are very complex, and it's best to just avoid this dynamic altogether, regardless of the price of the gift, and if it is acceptable, makes the decision-making process difficult and complex. It is best to keep things simple and draw the line at no gift giving at all to avoid all these consequences altogether. Having clear communication at the beginning of the relationship and setting boundaries and discussing why these boundaries are being set would help clients understand where their behavior analysis is coming from, and they might have a better understanding of why you will not accept a gift. Having this clear communication can help avoid the clients becoming offended or negatively impacting the relationship when we are honest and clear in the beginning. Next slide.
Now let's discuss social media and multiple relationships. The 21st century has ushered in a new age of social media and a new topic for ethical consideration when avoiding multiple relationships. Social media is a prevalent community where people can share their lives and see into others. Social media is not only used for personal, but also business and other professional means. So while there are a variety of factors to consider when identifying multiple relationships or what they may look like, social media must be up for discussion. Is friending on social media considered a dual relationship? What would friending mean for the professional relationship? How could we use social media to help facilitate a stronger connection with parents on a less formal platform? First, let's take a closer look at the changes to and relevant ethical codes. Next slide. The current ethical code does not explicitly point out how social media connects our ethics with multiple relationships. However, because behavior analysts face this common dilemma, the new ethical code effective in 2022 has multiple codes relevant to a conversation about ethics related to social media and multiple relationships. Code 111 clearly states that behavior analysts should avoid entering into multiple relationships. This includes professional, personal, and familiar relationships with clients and colleagues. Code 110 also addresses the responsibility of behavior analysts to be aware of personal biases, which could be created or maintained by viewing a client's personal life or a client's, and vice versa. Code 510 addresses behavior analysts' responsibility to not publish any confidential information on personal accounts, and when used professionally, the steps that need to be followed. However, it does not explicitly address how to maneuver social media when it comes to clients and personal accounts. Code 3.1 also addresses behavior analysts' responsibility to their clients. This code is applicable concerning how to utilize social media with clients, how it may be beneficial or not. Let's first take a look at the different themes of multiple relationships. Next slide.
These are the ways in which multiple relationships can be formed. Has anyone developed a dual relationship in any of these forms? What happened and how did you resolve the situation? Did you find yourself on a slippery slope?
So I'll go first. With my situation, I actually developed an altruistic gestures dual relationship because I was being extraordinarily available for this one family. Last year, I had given my cell phone number to all of my parents in my self-contained special education classroom, just in case they ever needed anything, especially in COVID. It was really easy to have the phone numbers of the parents and then have my phone number in case there was any issues with technology in the morning before classes or anything. However, this one parent did definitely take advantage of my generosity of giving my cell phone number out and would message me and ask me or show me pictures of her son and what they did over the weekend and text me at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. And I really wish, looking back on it now, that I had set clear boundaries in the beginning of the relationship at the beginning of the school year by saying that I will only be responding within the hours of the school day. After that, you will not hear back from me until the school hours. If I had enforced that, I think that it might have saved me some issues later down the road because she got a little too comfortable at times with thinking that we had a friendship, I guess, kind of relationship. And it definitely was an uncomfortable situation for me that I put myself in.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Brittany?
Has any?
Sorry, go ahead, Brittany.
I also had a sort of dual relationship, or the possibility. I was working at a clinic, and it was within my community, and I live in kind of a small town. So there was one client that when I started, I let my supervisor know that I knew this client because I could see them at church. And so I wasn't working with them at the time, but I went ahead and let her know. And I just started, so I knew nothing about ethics. And that supervisor left. I was put with another supervisor and then put on his team. I then was giving him services, and I had kind of mentioned to them that I possibly had some unanticipated circumstances where I might see this client. It took a while, but after I had talked to my new soup as well as the owner, they agreed to help me adjust with that because I felt like it was interfering with therapy. And after learning about ethics, I was aware that it was also an unethical practice. So it did take 2 instances of advocating for it, but I was able to come out of that without posing some negative impact with that client.
Okay, great. Those are some great examples of how multiple relationships can be formed or have formed. Next slide.
So here we're going to see how working so closely with clients and their families, it usually means that we do spend a lot of hours and days with them. And there are times where clients or family members, they like to give us gifts, or they attempt to give us gifts. And it usually does come from a place of appreciation or gratitude. And well, it's all known that it is against most ethical codes, and these gifts should not be accepted in order to maintain this professional relationship that we are trying to keep. So we should discuss the possibility of denying the gesture of a client or a family member and how it could negatively impact the client or the provider's relationship. So let's take a look at this video of its cultural considerations.
In this slide, I will be discussing the benefits of friending clients on social media. According to Ethics Code 3.01, Responsibility to Clients, it is a behavior analyst's responsibility to do what is in the best interest of their client. Having a relationship within a social media context creates opportunity for the stakeholder to develop a close and trusting connection while still maintaining a professional relationship. Friending a stakeholder can open more forms of communication, which allows for a more honest and open communicative relationship. According to Ebert 2018, having a productive working relationship can lead to significant treatment-induced change. Due to the easy access to social media, this is an additional way to stay connected with the stakeholder and be available as a professional. Ebert 2018 also emphasizes on the importance of a strong clinician and parent relationship. The stronger the relationship, the higher the chance that the parent will follow the treatment plan for their child. According to Gardner et al., 2017, boundaries are established and maintained within the context of the therapeutic relationship to create space for both the clinician and the client to operate within. When considering multiple relationships, practitioners and clients alike may struggle to find the line when working to avoid multiple relationships. So where do we draw the line when aspects of interpersonal relationships are needed for a positive therapeutic relationship? There are aspects of multiple relationships like flexibility, perceived genuineness, and a more relaxed form of communication, which may linger into an ethical dilemma. However, these aspects create a more comfortable relationship, which allows for the stakeholder to feel honest and trusting.
So this video talks about the various examples of social media mishaps and when we are led to inappropriate work-related, comments and loss of employment, and how individuals have voiced some of these opinions that have led to these inappropriate work-related comments. So this video depicts questionable situations in which people in the ABA field often find themselves in. It includes scenarios that one may question if it is okay or not okay to do.
Everybody get up.
Blurred Lines presented by Dr. Amanda Kelly. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge my co-authors, Patrick O'Leary, Megan Miller, and Missy Olive. We published our paper in Behavior Analysis in Practice in 2015.
Social media platforms offer opportunities to connect across generations.
Social media platforms offer opportunities to connect across geographical barriers.
Twitter is one online social networking site. Twitter allows users to post and read tweets of up to 140 characters long.
Twitter reports 271 million monthly active users, with 500 million tweets sent per day.
LinkedIn may be considered the world's largest professional network. The site has 238 million members in over 200 countries.
Websites like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn afford companies and individuals the opportunity to quickly communicate and connect with one another.
1 out of every 7 people on Earth has an active Facebook account.
Abstinence is not a realistic expectation. Your friends, your neighbors, colleagues, and employers are going to go online. Let's focus on how to behave ethically and responsibly. We look to the Behavior Analyst Certification Board's Code of Ethics for guidance.
The Behavior Analyst Certification Board does address responsible behavior on social media sites for behavior analysts and technicians. Behavior analysts must not create situations likely to result in the sharing of any identifying information about current clients and supervisees within social media context.
Public statements include written testimony, brochures, ads, radio and television broadcasts, websites, and posts on online social media platforms.
Consider this. A newly minted BCBA posts a question regarding a student in her classroom who climbs on furniture. She asks if anyone has any resources. This easy access to information might encourage the behavior analyst to circumvent the literature in the future. Reading research is a skill all behavior analysts should have.
Behavior analysts provide services only in the context of a defined, professional relationship. A client requests to be your friend online. Should you accept? Would it be appropriate to be friends? Or, does this present a dual relationship? Is there a conflict of interest? The BACB code recognizes that there are situations where it may not be possible to avoid non-professional interactions with clients and supervisees. Imagine living on an island.
Bailey and Birch explain that having social contacts with clients can interfere with our objectivity as behavior analysts and can increase the chance of harm or exploitation.
So, what should you do? Pull out your phone? Log into Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and delete your account? Should you get rid of your social media presence altogether? Not exactly. Behavior analysts have a responsibility to support the values of the field, to disseminate knowledge to the public, and to discourage misrepresentation. In 2015,
Okay, in this slide, I'll be discussing how serving individuals with various aspects of diversity should be an ongoing process to best serve our client. Oh, I'm sorry, that's actually your turn.
I forgot to press unmute, my bad. Work relationships need boundaries to maintain professionalism. Being friends or following a client would be considered a multiple relationship since that individual is letting them in their private life through personal videos, posts, and pictures. When individuals connect through social media, private activities are shared with one another. Sharing these activities shows some aspects of that individual's life that may not be accepted by others and can increase the chances of harming a professional relationship. Some examples include pictures of alcohol consumption, political posts, pictures of smoking, or inappropriately dressed images. According to Gabbard in 1994, the crossing of one boundary without obvious catastrophic results, making it easier to cross the next boundary. That being said, the fewer risks a therapist takes, the better, because it is a slippery slope once a BCBA has broken one code to break another one. BACB Ethics Code 1.111, multiple relationships state that a behavior analyst should not engage in a multiple relationship, and BACB Ethics Code 510, social media, states that they do not publish information and or digital content of clients on their personal social media accounts and websites. If a behavior analyst were friends with a client's family member on social media, they might tag the BCBA in a post, which would be violating Code 510. Code 3.1, responsibility to clients, say that behavior analysts should do no harm to the client and act in the best interest of the client. By friending a client's family member on social media, the behavior analyst could be causing potential harm towards the client, even if it wasn't done in any malicious term. Next slide, I'm sorry.
Now for our debate on cultural competence and diversity. Culture and diversity affects what is important to an individual, their values, perhaps morals, all of which affects our lives and much more, specifically our behavior. When it comes to working with a diverse clientele, there are various factors to consider, including race, disability, family dynamics, culture, diversity, sexual orientation, physical, mental, emotional challenge, the list goes on. As we know, behavior is shaped by our environment, so without considering diversity, there may be independent variables that are missed, resulting in inappropriate behavior change interventions put into place, inadequate services provided, and the possibility of causing harm to the client. Similarly, both codes address the responsibility for behavior analysts to promote cultural awareness and diversity and work within their boundaries of competence, which extend to aspects of diversity. Our clients' environments are shaped by different aspects of diversity, including culture, socioeconomic class, family structure, etc. Therefore, a behavior analyst must be sensitive and competent to culture and aspects of diversity that differ from their own and provide effective treatments to clients through professional development. A difference in the code is that after 2022, behavior analysts will also be responsible for incorporating and addressing diversity while supervising trainees and supervisees. While ethics help guide our decisions, the question is brought up on ensuring what behavior analysts are doing to keep up with this responsibility. Should cultural competence be an ongoing process or a step-by-step system set in place to address various aspects of diversity? Next slide.
Here, I will be discussing how serving individuals with various aspects of diversity should be an ongoing process to best serve our client, not to become a list of to-dos, but rather a conscious effort. Fong et al. In 2016 discussed the importance of clinicians engaging in more culturally aware practices. For instance, instead of clinicians relying on their personal experiences, they would practice by assessing, collecting data, and testing hypotheses. These practices allow for clinicians to have a better understanding of client behavior and to reduce potential for bias. Being mindful allows clinicians to remain alert while attending to each interaction. This also allows for clinicians to carefully evaluate each situation in order to provide the best services for cross-cultural families. Fong et al. 2016 also suggested that cultural self-awareness can be enhanced by communicating with other professionals in the field. Reading journals and forums related to this topic, receiving feedback from sessions, using exercises to self-reflect from previous experiences, as well as attending meetings with mentors. These suggestions involve behavior analysts describing their own experiences and behaviors, which may help them learn from their own and others' experiences to enhance cross-cultural interactions. In the next slide, I will be showing a tool to self-assess cultural awareness. This visual was added to provide a tool as well as give a list of questions to assess an individual's cultural competence and awareness. Cultural competency and awareness of diversity should be an ongoing process, including self-awareness.
This video hands us information of cultural competence and what can be expected as we expand within this career and become culturally diverse towards our clients and coworkers. These are small tips on ways to engage and respond and maintain a diverse outlook as we come across various cultures in our workplace.
What is cultural competence? Cultural competence is the ability to understand, communicate, and effectively interact with people across cultures. Cultural competence encompasses being aware of one's own worldview and developing positive attitudes toward cultural differences. Cultural competence encourages the acknowledgement and acceptance of differences in appearance, behavior, and culture. Some believe that cultural competence is practiced by merely showing respect to everyone we encounter without considering our own bias. It is impossible to be an expert of knowledge in every culture. Therefore, it is important to admit that you are not an expert. It is through your willingness to ask questions and listen to others' stories that you demonstrate respect. People with diverse racial or ethnic backgrounds, refugees, migrants, and immigrants are all around us. That's the nature of the increasingly diverse world in which we live. The Census Bureau estimates that in 2020 alone, international migration will add 1 person to the US population every 34 seconds. Our world is growing, and with it, our opportunity to build valuable, diverse relationships. Cultural competence is important because without it, our opportunity to build those relationships is impossible. Instead, we'll coexist with people we don't understand, thereby creating a higher risk for misunderstanding, hurt feelings, and bias. Things that can all be avoided. Here are a few ideas that will help improve your cultural competence. 1. Pay attention. 2. Listen. 3. Show interest. Listening to one another, seeking to truly hear them and understand their perspectives is a crucial step toward peace. Extend a Touch has a topic called Cultural Competence, where you can meet other caregivers and exchange ideas about cultural competence.
However, cultural competence can be difficult to monitor should be more systematic to ensure culturally appropriate practices, such as BCBAs working within their scope of competence as it pertains to various aspects of culture and diversity. According to Fong et al. 2016, using cultural competence training standards will ensure that all BCBAs are developing the necessary skills to have cultural awareness while serving others. However, if BCBAs do not take or neglect to take these trainings, they may fall short of developing their cultural competency. Fong et al. 2016 also developed a list of, 2013 also developed a list of standards that related to cultural awareness in the field of applied behavior analysis, which could ensure that the workplace created a culture of continuous development and awareness to best serve diverse clientele. They are listed here on this slide. The next slide.
Cultural competency is described a variety of interventions that aim to improve the accessibility and effectiveness of healthcare services for people from racial and ethnic minorities. A good way to be more systematic is to have workshops and trainings in cultural competence for the providers. The more we know, the more we can understand and provide accessible and effective services to these populations. Yes, we do not walk into a service knowing everything about one's culture. However, it is being able to acknowledge these differences and are then able to view a situation from a different cultural perspective than one's own. Questions for the panel. What are some barriers to cultural competency in the ABA field? Next slide. These are some questions that arose during the debate. How would we validate our research that is not in our field as a basis of this debate? Validating our debate with the research from other fields can be helpful because they are very similar in certain ways. For example, we do not receive gifts from our doctors, nor do we give gifts to our doctors. Social workers are working with clients in different contexts, but they will still have to avoid multiple relationships to protect themselves and the clients. Every field has to take into account cultural differences too, so they provide attainable and effective services to those cultures that might be different from our own. How do you avoid a dual relationship in rural areas? Well, dual relationships in small communities and rural areas can come in many forms and sometimes unavoidable. Given the likelihood relationships occurring, behavior analysis would do well to anticipate the ways in which their professional lives may intersect with their personal and family lives. At an appropriate time, it would be in the best interest of the provider to discuss with the client on how they might best handle these circumstances. And how can having multiple relationships harm the client? Well, having multiple relationships can be harmful. The BACB states relationships for the behavior analysis ability to perform services objectively and effectively. Going back to gift giving and social media, these both could lead to multiple relationships. If a behavior analysis receives a gift or friends someone online, this could lead the behavior analysis to react in an emotional way, or this could lead to the behavior analysis to create biases and give better services to someone who is handing out gifts or who they are friends with online. Or these multiple relationships forming from gift giving or social media can have the opposite effect. Treatment and services affected in a negative way, which in turn could harm the client. Next slide.
Thank you for watching our debate on humanistic service provision. We hope that we have sparked your intrigue into your ethical journey. And as you can see on this slide and the following slides, our references are listed. Thank you so much and have a great day.